Hey, what's going on everyone? Today I'm going to be doing a video on why I'm switching back to Windows. So this video is going to kind of follow a theme, and you'll see what the theme kind of is. There's a few little things thrown in here and there. This is not the biggest definitive list, but this is the main thing that has driven me back to Windows. So the first thing is the file manager. So if we open up a file manager here, and let's just go to the desktop, if I click on any of these files that I have here, there's no details pane. And you can switch between like different views and stuff like that, but there's no details pane. And you can, choose different things that you want to see, but you still can't really see a details pane, which is a huge thing for me because I want to just click on this video and have a details pane here. I want to be able to see like a bigger thumbnail, and most importantly, I want to be able to see the resolution of the video, the size of the video, like all that stuff right here. So this is an example of what I'm talking about. Here are all the videos that I was showing before. If I click on one, I can see the MP4 file, the size, and the thing that's most important to me is the frame width, height, and resolution. Also the data rate's pretty cool, and I can just see that stuff. I can also click on a screenshot and see the dimensions and the size and everything of it. And that's really helpful, as well as seeing the bigger thumbnail. So if I click on this video, I can see way more detail than I can from this tiny little thumbnail. So next thing that's a pretty big deal breaker is that it just seems like everything these days uses AAC audio. So here's a few examples. So here's a video. Oh, I have to open it in VLC just to show you. So here's a video that's from my dash cam, which is something that I frequently view on my computer. And if we look at the video details, you'll see that it is using where is it? Right here. AAC audio. There's no way to change this. This is just what it is. But also, if we look at this video here, this is from my phone. And, oh, hold on. Sorry, gotta open it in VLC. This is from my phone. And what is happening? And if we look at the details, you can see here, AAC audio. And then the third thing is, this is a screen recording. I keep doing that. This is a screen recording. I just quickly took this. This is using the GPU screen recorder. And as you can see here, it says AAC audio. Everything uses AAC audio. And why is that a problem? Oh, also, if you're wondering, why don't I just switch it to, right here, here to like a FLAC or Opus. This is what the developer said. I emailed him, and this is what he got back to me. He said, Opus and FLAC are temporarily disabled because they are buggy in FFmpeg. So there's just no way to use anything but AAC audio. And so why is AAC audio terrible? Well, if we open up DaVinci Resolve, which is the studio version, by the way, which I purchased, you will see that AAC audio was just not supported in DaVinci. So if we take these files here and we drag them into, I don't really care about the frame rate, we drag them into here. If we drag, the recording here, doesn't appear. Drag my phone. Oh, well, this one has audio. Well, it has an audio track, but there's no audio actually there. We take this, dash cam footage, there's no audio. And it just doesn't exist. You cannot get AAC audio support in DaVinci in Linux. So why that's such a big deal is because we're already giving up so many different pieces of software to come to Linux, and the fact that, DaVinci Resolve, which has AAC audio support in both Windows and Mac, doesn't have it on Linux is kind of a bummer. Not to mention, unless you pay for the studio version like I have, you actually don't have H.264 or H.265 support, meaning my cell phone video and probably the dash cam just will not work. I don't know if this is H.265, I can't remember, but basically a lot of things are also H.264 or H.265. So not being able to edit the majority of videos out there is a massive pain. Now, we do have things like Kdenlive, which is great. I was using it. I absolutely love it, except the fact that playing back anything at full resolution is just not possible. Kdenlive just simply doesn't support GPU acceleration, especially with any effects that are on the screen. So as soon as you put any kind of effects on your video, you basically have to edit it with proxies that are set at like 480p. And that's just not really usable. Okay, so the next big reason, which kind of falls in line with everything else, as you can see there's a theme here, is video or photo editing. So I gave up Adobe Suite for Affinity Suite, and Affinity Suite just simply does not work on Linux either. So there's this post here on the forum that, you know, if you basically build this version of Wine and, you know, with Wine tricks and all that other stuff, and you run all these commands and whatever, some people have gotten Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer to work, but in my experience, I went through these every single step multiple times. I think I spent a total of like 5 hours attempting to get this to run, and I just simply could not. No matter what I did, there were just so many errors and dependencies missing, and I went through all these posts, and even some people were saying like, hey, you know, I have that same problem, but all I did was build it again and it worked the second time. Like, just, it wasn't really working. Somewhere in here, I don't know where it is, people basically said like, oh yeah, you know, I got it running, it doesn't work great, there's some glitchiness, but like, it's okay. And personally, the fact that I spent like 5 hours trying to get it to run and it just would not run for me, and then if it did run, the outcome would have basically been a buggy mess, is just kind of unacceptable. I tried GIMP. GIMP is just honestly not great. Krita is not really a comparison, and the closest thing that honestly Linux has is Photopea. So I have the I think it's this Electron version or something. It's basically just like a web wrapper, and it works great. It's awesome. It basically like Photoshop, but it runs in your browser. But the fact that like it's not a native app and not all of the keyboard shortcuts work perfectly, and it's not amazing. It's honestly really incredible what you're able to do in a web browser and what one person did. But it's for trying to like create media online, it's not perfect. It's more of a hassle. It's more like, hey, it's cool, it works, that's awesome. But to use this every single day as a replacement is just honestly not there. Okay, so my next problem is that download speeds just in general are really slow. So if we take this 2.3 gigabyte file, for example, and we try to download it, you'll see here that up here, like Firefox is, if we let it ramp up, it'll reach like 25 megabytes a second. Okay, 31, 28, 26. Like, it's not breaking any records. If you're wondering, you know, why is that a big deal? That seems really, really fast. Well, here we are on speed test. Now, it's a little bit weird and glitchy in Linux, I find, but basically my speed should be around, it's a little bit slower right now, but it should be around 1900. Oh, there we go, now it's ramping up. So, yeah, the 36 megabytes a second when I have 1,600 currently is not great. And I understand that it's, you know, can also be the service that you're downloading from, but in my experience, that should have downloaded a lot faster. But this also just expands to everything on Linux, in my experience. Okay, so the biggest thing is, and I forgot to show this on the Linux, is also Proton Drive. So if you notice on the Linux one, I was using the web browser because there's just no client available. On Windows, you know, there's a client, I can just have the folder here. I'm accessing the same files that I am here, except it's just in my Explorer. I can drag files into here, drag them out, just like, you know, as if it was another folder on my computer. Now that's a massive thing, to not have to open the web browser all the time and come in here and, you know, drag files on here and right click and download them. Like, they're just right here. and I can just get to them, and it just treats it like it's a folder. Okay, so this next part is just showing, I guess it's kind of hard to see through this video, but basically OBS for some reason, like when I'm streaming, uses a lot more, steals a lot more performance than Windows, because I streamed this from Linux yesterday, and it's, like I said, it's actually really hard to come through on this video, but the performance of this was absolutely horrible. I had to turn my game down to, I believe, like high or normal settings to even get the frame rate to be stable, where when I stream this on Windows with OBS and all the same, the bit rate, the same resolution, everything, it just works. I don't have to even turn on the graphic settings. It just works. I don't know why OBS just absolutely robs the computer of performance, but it does. Like currently just recording right now, this empty screen, OBS is using 7.8% of my CPU. Okay, so this is the second last thing, and again, it's all kind of sticking with the theme of media creation, and that is when I open, so here's the desktop, for example, and if I open something, like let's open this video, that's it. Just open this video. I can, open this picture, that's it. I open this picture. Open this video, that's it. So this is what it looks like on Windows. So here's a directory with all the same videos that I was showing on Linux. And if I open them in, Windows Photos, you can see down here that I can see everything that's currently in this directory. So it makes it really easy when I'm editing a video to go through and be like, okay, so yeah, okay, this is the video, cool. And I can jump to this one and just start scrubbing through this one. I can go to this one and start scrubbing through this one. Oh, I want to see this picture here. Okay, now let's go back to this video. It's just a lot nicer to do this than it is to constantly, close it and open something else up, and close it and open something else up. And I understand that this is part of Windows, like not really Windows, but like Microsoft Photos. But to my knowledge, and I looked and I could not find a program on Linux that acts the same way. Like I don't want to go and like, click all these videos and open them in a program. I want to be able to just open something in just by clicking on it and then having access to the entire directory down here. Especially when you're editing videos, this is a lifesaver. This is absolutely incredible. Okay, so the last thing is the unbelievably toxic community. The Linux Cast here, I'll link this video in the description, did a wonderful video kind of just going over how toxic the community is. Basically the title says, it works for me, so you're a moron. And he goes through how when people need help or they're having issues with their computer and they post on forums and stuff like that, the Linux community is just like, oh, well, you're an idiot because it works for me. And I had that same experience. And when I, when I installed Linux, I had a lot of problems, a ton of problems. And I just kind of slowly made my way and fixed them, or tried my best to negate them as much as possible. But I got a lot of comments on Mastodon. I got replies on Lemmy where people were just like, don't break it. You're a fucking idiot. Works for me, you fucking moron. And I'm just like, what? How am I breaking it? I'm doing an absolute fresh install. It's a clean install. I've done absolutely nothing. And I'm being called all these names, but I've not done anything. And that's the thing. This is what this guy said. He's like, we don't all run the same software. We don't run all the same hardware. Just because it works for one person doesn't mean it works for the other person. And another thing too is what he says in this video is, if you can't help someone, don't reply, because replying to someone and saying, well, it works for me, so I don't know what to tell you, doesn't help. Because they're just going to go click on that reply and see that you have nothing, like you didn't help them out, and you're just adding nothing to the conversation. And that's a big thing. The amount of people that have, and the funny thing is he uses the word moron here, which is just funny because I've also been called a moron. The Linux community loves to call other people this exact word, call people morons. And I don't understand. Windows is not perfect. I'm not really that happy going back to Windows. I'm pretty sad about it. But the biggest thing about Windows to me, in all the problems that it has, is when I've seen support forums for Windows, I don't see much toxicity in it. When someone's like, hey, I'm running Windows and I'm having a problem, the most toxic thing I'll see, which is not even that common, is just, hey man, don't be clicking on viruses. That's about it. When someone has a problem, they pretty much help each other. Where on the Linux community, they'll claim like, oh, we're here, we'll welcome you with open arms, we're so accepting and amazing, and then you go and you ask for help, and they say, you're a fucking moron, you broke it, it's your fault, you did it, I don't have that problem, and they just tell you to go back to Windows. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how toxic the community is. So if you made it this far, like I said, there's a theme here, and it's mostly media creation. So the file manager, about seeing, media details, the fact that everything uses a codec that Linux just doesn't, at least the professional software on Linux doesn't work well with, Kdenlive, the alternative, kind of crappy and laggy. Affinity Suite, the thing that you use to make, thumbnails or graphics for your videos or whatever, not really, or not even the fact that Affinity Suite is not available, but just anything kind of professional doesn't really exist. My personal is Proton Drive, just not being available, integrated into the file manager is a big thing, especially since I use it to store, some of my files and then transfer them through and all that stuff. Download speeds, that's not really super to do with, media creation, but it definitely does hinder it when I'm trying to download clients' files or files myself or transfer files over. Getting a fraction of your speed kind of sucks. OBS, again, media creation, just recording this video or trying to stream, the fact that it takes more performance on Linux for some reason than it does on Windows definitely is a bummer. The Microsoft Photos, being able to show you, everything that's in that working directory is pretty, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we really, really need that, but it definitely helps with media creation. And then overall, just the biggest thing that is, pushes you back is the toxic community. There's so many compromises coming to Linux that, you shouldn't also be getting absolute hated on for needing help, for finding your way. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I still think that Linux is absolutely incredible. I think it works very, very well if you are someone who doesn't do media creation or not as much media creation, or things like that. If you're doing light gaming, word processing, web browsing, development, all that, like programming, Linux is awesome, and I think it will work really, really well for you. It just, unfortunately, with my workflow and with the tools that I require, it just doesn't work. Okay, so this is funny. I have this file here. This is a video that I just made, 4.5 gigabytes, and I went to put it on my server, my NAS, and I clicked this network, and all of a sudden just can't handle network locations. I've been accessing my NAS forever. This has happened before, and what I have to do is just, for some reason, completely reboot my computer, and it will start working. It's things like, why won't you work? Why is NAS, why is network sharing just all of a sudden not working? It will work as soon as I reboot the computer, but it's things like this. Like I have to reboot my computer so I can take the video that you're watching, put it on Windows so I can edit it.